a different level than you.
It's my same chair.
Isn't it so funny? I'm like down here next to you. It's so funny. It's my same chair too. I don't know. Funny.
It is funny. Well, welcome to the midlife. Well, so you said, wait a minute, and I'd already hit record. And I hope it caught that whole thing was hilarious.
I just realized it looked like I needed a booster seat sitting next to you.
Well, am I sitting further back? No, I don't know. There, is that better?
So funny.
If I'm back, is that better? I don't know.
I don't know. It's hilarious. We'll figure it out. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the midlife, where we worry about all the things.
Random conversations. Random conversations ensue.
Yes.
What's going on?
Hi, Kimby.
Hi. What's on your mind today?
I was just having a talk with someone this morning that I ran into, and that was discussing the 10 acres that we were always discussing. And I thought that person got an in-depth conversation because had a bunch of questions about it. And so I was thinking, we keep toying about it. We keep talking about the 10 acres. So maybe we should clear up the 10 acres and talk about it with everybody.
I love it.
Game?
I love it. So my 10 acres is?
Yeah. What is it for you?
My 10 acres, the first thing that pops into my head is my 10 acres are the people under my roof. And I really cannot worry about the people outside of my roof. It's not my responsibility to worry about the people outside of my roof. It's not my responsibility to make things better for the people outside of my roof. I mean, we could argue whether that's my responsibility for the people inside my roof too, but I am who I am. But for me, my 10 acres are the humans in my immediate family, and my work right now is that my 10 acres actually missed the drive, the turn off from the main road into the driveway, which was me. So more of what I need to worry about is there's a long stretch between the mailbox and the front door of my 10 acres. And that has to be paying a little bit more care and attention to me. And that's one thing that I'm working on big time, that my 10 acres means to me is expanding that and being more caring of myself and more in tune with what I need, knowing that ultimately that does benefit the people that I feel so strongly about being the people under my roof.
I'm so glad we just had this conversation because that helps clear things up for me. So to me, the 10 acres that I talk about with people is completely just about them.
Right. I know that.
It is your dirt. It is your vibe, right? And so that makes sense that that's not how you see it. And so it's harder. Such good information. So if that hits home to you and that feels like your 10 acres, I'm gonna ask to stretch you. To me, that is a house that you build on your 10 acres.
Yeah.
That holds your people.
Yeah.
But your 10 acres is yours, right? It's about you. It's about how you take care of yourself. It's about how you want it to look, how you fertilize and clean, and, how you care for it, how you water, how you, plant seeds, what you want it to look like, how, whether you're building a house on it or not, and so that's so interesting to me because yours goes straight to being the mama bear and taking care of everybody.
No, and what's so funny about it is I know I know when you say, because this is the iteration out of your brain, the my 10 acres. And I know exactly what you mean by that. And when we talk about it, I use it in a way, and I believe in it in a way where I'm talking to every one of you out there, please, we're here for you. Take care of you. What do you want? How is your life going to play out? What do you want out of it? How do you want to grow intellectually and spiritually? I'm all about it. Your 10 acres. And yet I'm sitting exactly where you're sitting because I'm working on it myself. So it's so easy to I totally accept your premise and I love it. And I love talking about it. And I love thinking about how we're helping people, but also like I'm a student of that too.
Yes,
for sure.
So great. And aren't we all? I mean, so to me, what happens is a lot of time we end up on someone else's 10 acres. And that's part of the work, is realizing, get back on yours. Right. So it's worrying about how other people how we're taking care of our 10 acres. We're worrying about what it looks like to someone else. We're we're worried about how they're feeling, or we're judging them. Mm-hmm. We're judging how they handle or how they think or their reactions or their actions. And so now we're on their 10 acres because it's not ours to worry about how they're doing or how they're thinking. It's ours. So it's that moment of catching ourselves on the other 10 acres. And I think that comes up a lot in our lives, and whether in our relationships and just how we view the world really too. And so there's that moment of like going, I'm on theirs. And sometimes it's really hard. Sometimes it's someone we love, right? It's someone inside of your house that still has their own 10 acres. Right. And you have to let them. And sometimes they just want it to look muddy and they don't want to plant anything and they don't fucking care. And you have to sit next to it going, oh, okay, well, take a deep breath. I'm going to go plant some more and I'm going to build a little walkway because I like it, and like I have to refocus on mine. And maybe if I'm, taking care of me and they're seeing mine and looks nice, or they may get inspired. I don't know. But it's that kind of remembering that each person, even inside of your house, has their own 10 acres. And we have to allow for that.
I mean, I'm laughing so hard. I mean, because I 100% accept your premise and think it's beautiful. But there's two things I'm thinking. Number one is, it's not that I'm on other people's 10 acres. It's that people are encroaching on mine. Get the fuck off. Okay, that's number one. Number two is
so much.
Number two is when you ask me about the 10 acres and I think about the 10 acres and I'm talking about my 10 acres, I don't even allow for the possibility that my people inside the house have their own 10 acres because I have bought a large plot of property and I have built houses for all of them on my 10 acres.
Yes. They don't even get to
love them. I care for them. I will make it all amazing. We will all live happily, healthily.
Oh, I love this so much. I love this so much because I think, right, this is part of the work. This is what everyone has such a different visual of what it means and a different heart around, what it means. And so even saying it, right, makes you laugh, makes us giggle to hear like, of course they need their own 10 acres.
Can there be shuttle service?
It can be right next door.
But it's true. I mean, if I'm being honest, when I think about it, like the metaphor of it, I do not allow. I mean, that's not really true in practice though, because you know me, like all of you listening don't know me like Tracy knows me, but I'm pretty, hands off. Right. And I make a lot of space for my kids to do what they want to do with whomever they want to do it. And, it's pretty easy, good relationships. It's not like I'm up in their shit all the time. But in my
you aren't, which is so right. Yeah. But on your 10 acres, right? Not even right. They have their 10 acres and they are doing their own thing.
They have
on it,
a secret 10 acres.
On your 10 acres.
Yeah. They have a lair.
They all have them.
Yeah. I don't know where it is. I know that.
You don't know where it is. But you want them to have it. Like inside of you, you have cultivated kids that all have their own 10 acres and you're Absolutely. Like, you need to fucking learn how to take care of your 10 acres. You have brought them up in that way where they're independent and they completely have their own, which is so funny to then go, wow, what does it do to you, to them? It's like such a fun conversation to inside of your world and your being also be like, oh, no. No one leaves these 10 acres.
Yeah, no, that is my worldview.
Right? Which is just inside of your heart.
Yeah.
That is so fascinating, isn't it?
Oh my God.
That does. That's so cool. I love you for sharing. Thank you for being vulnerable.
I don't know I don't think that it does anything because in practice, I'm not like helicoptery. I'm not controlling. I'm not.
No, it does something to you. It's not about that. It does something to you.
Yes, it does.
Here we are again.
So funny.
Somehow we ended up on their 10 acres that don't even exist.
Oh my God. You are going to fucking love this. So I took the dog for a walk to cool off after my workout this morning. And why? My kids are 22 and 18. And like, they are like exactly who they're supposed to be. They are like men child, right? Like they're having a great time. Why was I considering what kind of woman they were going to be married to? I don't know. And I don't even I'm not even that much, like, I'll never be that mother-in-law. I'm never going to be that, like, I don't even want to meet the girlfriend. And, I don't care about any of that. But I actually had this like thought today about what kind of person each of them were going to end up married to, which is so weird and out of character for me. Just sharing. Isn't that funny?
That is funny. By the way, you have 3 kids.
The little one is going to sleep in bed with me forever. So.
I just wanted to make sure we were being clear that we didn't forget about one.
Did not think about that at all for him.
He clearly has not gotten his plot of land yet.
No.
We're debating on his plot of land. I see this.
He is in the bassinet still.
And yet, just for you all to know, and a lot of you already know, this kid is like, he's got a plot of land in another state. He's so cool and so collected and on his own and secure. He's one of the neatest kids I've ever met. And so he's like, I got you, Mom. I got a full mansion on my 10 acres. I'm good. You can come whenever you want when you're ready.
And until you said that, it didn't even occur to me how absurd it was that if I was going to have that weird conversation in my head about things that are none of my fucking business, why I didn't include him in it. It's just so funny.
Yeah, because he's in another part where you're like, no, those rules don't apply to the baby. So, aren't we interesting?
Fascinating, terrifying.
Oh my gosh! I hope you're laughing with us and just reflecting on your own, right? Your own thoughts and your own beliefs about this in your own world and your people in it, and whether they, in your mind, have their own plots and that they're allowed to create them in the way that they feel is right at this moment. And sometimes it is really tricky, right?
How does it show up for you? Like, are you good about those boundaries? Am
I good about, I'm pretty good about it. I mean, I had a funny moment this weekend where someone was talking about something that was happening with their husband, and I was talking about something that was happening with my husband. And I was like, yeah, and he'll just figure it out. And she's like, she started laughing. She goes, I would take care of all of that and like handle it. And that's just the way our relationship is. And I'm like, that's just the way you're okay.
Right.
Like, yeah, I wouldn't, because that's his 10 acres. And I think he gets offended if I go on his 10 acres, which, there's probably the other half of him that would love for me to fix it. But there's places where I'm really good about it. And then there's like the old family stuff. There's the old stories. There's some, old cobwebby junk that I have sort of decided to tell myself it's like really hot sand over there. And I need to know when I'm stepping on it so that I can be more aware of like, oh, no, I'm on the hot sand. Get off and just come back here. And so those ones are the ones that are harder for me to remember. No. And so I think what I'm really working on this year and thinking about the next layer of this 10 acres is getting really clear within myself when I'm shifting out of what I want it to look like and feel like inside of me, which is my 10 acres. And so knowing the visuals changing from this outside pretty place to what it feels like and looks like on the inside of me in my 10 acres. And that's a whole new layer to the 10 acres for myself.
Yeah.
And so it's no longer outside of me, it is inside of me. And so that I can be even more subtly aware when it doesn't look or feel that way.
Yeah.
To me.
I mean,
and that it's me doing it.
Yeah. A few conversations ago, we were kind of laughing about like what happens above the neck and what happens below the neck. Right. And so I think a lot of what I'm hearing you say, and it is scary, is to just operate from what's below the neck. because we sort of march through all the things that we have to do and we ignore how they're making us feel.
Yes.
And so, and why we repeat the things that make us feel shitty and why we don't repeat the things that make us feel good, you know, is so.
That's that disconnect, right? Because in our head, we have a story. So in our head, we have this old story that makes us feel a certain way. And instead of not listening to that story and feeling just what it feels like inside of us. And so in our gut, in our knowingness, in our heart, how we want that all to feel, if we can really get keen at listening into that and letting that inform our head so that we make choices with our head from how it feels inside.
Yeah.
I think that's the magic, the trick. For sure.
Yes.
And it takes slowing down and it takes practicing and it takes listening. And I think most people, just like myself, when the first smarter than me person looked at me and said, "So how do you feel?" And I was like, "I'm fine." And they were like, they started laughing at me and they were like, what do you mean? Like, how do you feel? And I just looked at them like I had deer in headlights. I was hollow inside. It just, that question resonated and echoed and echoed and echoed. When I finally had the moment, I looked at them and I was like, I hear you. I don't have an answer, but I am intrigued in figuring out how to answer that. And, you know, I don't know, 6-7 years later, you know, every week working with that person, I'm really doing a lot of self-work to even be able to answer the question of like, how do I feel? What does that even mean? What are the words? And that was a process and, you know, humbling to go, oh, I don't have any of those words inside of me and they're not attached to anything. I can't even feel them. I don't know what they are.
You know, not to open up a whole fucking can of worms, but don't you?
But why not?
But why not? Because that's why we're here. For me, when I hear you say that, what I think about for me is that I was never taught that I was allowed to think about how I felt.
Yes.
So it was not a muscle that I ever learned to use. And
no,
so
in fact, all the other muscles were so much stronger, right? So they were well developed in how to not feel and how to survive, how to excel without feeling. So people please show up, listen to everyone else's feelings, be really keen at taking care of others, all that stuff that you get like awesome at it. And you're like, I feel great because I'm killing it.
And really to fucking psychoanalyze myself for a moment. I think that, God, so weird. I was never given like the inkling that I would have my own 10 acres. Right.
Yes.
And
who
so,
even knew that was available.
Right. And so, but so now I think about like my, what's inside my head when you ask about my 10 acres, it's really the old story of how I was raised where everybody stays on the same 10 acres. Thank God I'm not doing that in practice, but I think my visual, everybody's on my 10 acres is the total bullshit story of many generations of you ain't going nowhere, sweetie. Right?
Yay! Look at, see, that's the seeds. To me, those are the seeds. Even starting the conversation starts the seeds. It starts to open your brain up to go, wait a minute, is that really what I want this 10 acres to look like? Is that?
I mean, yes, I do want all their little houses. Yes, I mean, I do want all their little houses on my 10 acres, but you know.
Do you, or do you want them all on the same block and them to build beautiful, amazing houses on their own and for you to be able to see them and go to them whenever you want and have a good enough relationship that we can be next door and we can appreciate each other and love each other for who we are, right? And not be,
I mean,
right?
totally.
Because what you're talking about is you grew up with one with barbed wire, right?
Yeah.
And you got electrocuted if you walked past the story, right?
Totally.
And so growing up trying to figure out how to get past the barbed wire, because to make a news story, you would have to get electrocuted.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's very painful and very scary.
I mean, isn't it?
Yes, I have the same story. I do. And I think
Yeah. I mean, it's like,
and I still get
scratches
shocked.
and the burns everywhere. Like,
yes,
totally.
Yeah. And when you hit it, you sort of go into this weird, like, oh, right, that pattern, it's like a weird, old belief system and the way that it works. And so when you get nailed and it hurts, you're like, oh shit, that's because I did this wrong. I'm not doing it right because this is the story. And so breaking away from that, going, wait, do I want that to be the story? I hate that story and it hurts, right? How do I change? Which hurts. It hurts on the way out because, everyone's trying to throw you back in the barbed wire. They're like, go back. And so it's really tricky, and God bless us all being here together to talk about the stuff that is hard and know that we all do it. We've all been there, and, we all have different stories, but everyone's got their stuff. And whether it was family or it was a friend or it was a boyfriend or a girlfriend or it was a teacher, there's a work, there's so many places to get that
fucking electrocuted
trauma story from. Get electrocuted and learn how to not get electrocuted so that you're telling yourself that weird old story instead of walking past the electric wire and going, fuck that. I don't want any electric wire. I don't want to be near it.
Well, okay. So here's a concern I have. Because that doesn't mean that you're 10 acres, that you then have to build an electric fence and barbed wire to keep everybody else out. In fact, I think I think you want open borders, right? Because you want people to visit and you want people to love on you and for you to love on other people. And so something that I think, you've had the experience of seeing too, women our age is getting so frustrated, so fed up, so raw that there is that like fuck it moment where they turn completely into themselves and think that they're doing the right thing, that's minding your 10 acres. But I think that can come at tremendous cost also. So I think it doesn't mean that you're going to be a total selfish asshole because you're only thinking about you at all.
Agreed. Not at all. Yes, I think the work in that moment is to get back on your 10 acres and make it as fucking awesome as you can imagine. Like, push yourself even harder to be like, how else do I want to grow it? How big, how shiny, how bright, how many colors? Like, what do I'm going to let myself be as big and bright and then dream bigger for myself so that that's my story over here.
And the light can incorporate everybody else.
Things.
Yeah.
Yes. Sure. Yes. And then I find who I am, and I find my brightness and my love for myself and my confidence for myself on my 10 acres. And then I'm not telling the story that, what I need with my 10 acres is to build a 12-foot wall and a wall around that and a cave, and I'm going to stay inside of the big house and lock the door. Because that's not bright and shiny to me. We all have our own things, but to me, we're all going to have our own ideas of it, but it's about playing with your idea. Like, how does that idea actually feel, and what life are you living from that idea?
Yeah. Well, I love it. I love the concept of my 10 acres, and I love it representing that it's what you want to be about. You as an individual, like, what do you need? What do you see for this very short life that we get to live? Like, how magical can you make it for yourself? So
yes, be visual, dream it up, let it be whatever you want it to be. And also it's a great tool for when you realize, oops, I'm not on my 10 acres, and getting to know when you aren't and when you are. And it's playful. And I think that's always a fun way to even say it out loud. Like, oops, sorry, just caught myself on your 10 acres. No one needs to know what you're talking about. As long as it works for you and it can make you giggle and get yourself back in, I think those are the best little tools. So let us know how it works for you. Try it out. And if you have any questions, get a hold of us, DM us.
Come to a happy hour on Wednesdays.
Come to a happy hour. Let's talk it out. Love it.
Yeah.